So the last item on the agenda is a presentation to one of our colleagues, and I haven't prepared anything. I mean, I have something to present to you, and why don't you come up and stand here, because I'm going to get you to respond from here as well. So,
Let's make you look tall.
Yes, taller. Oh, I can take my boots off. So I want to. I'm going to make this presentation, and as I say, I haven't prepared any particular words because I kind of wanted it to flow naturally. But this is presented to Councillor James Daniels, Coastal Ward, October 2019 to July 2021, with our grateful thanks. So I will present that to you in 1 second. I just so when James announced that he was going to run for the Coastal Ward, I was intrigued because, of course, I've known James and members of his family for years. For a variety of different reasons, we've connected, and I was surprised that he was running for council. To be honest, because I hadn't really felt that he'd had an interest in local body politics. I knew that he was certainly up for the political environment since his long-term association with Te Runanga o Ngāi Tahu. I was sure that you were more than capable of coming into that role. But his connection with the ward, the Coastal Ward, goes back to where he's from, you know, where he went to school. And so I did find one thing online that I thought that I'd share, because it was that magic moment when James and Ken ran for mayor.
Oh.
And I just thought, and because I didn't realise that this was the case. So it was in 1989 when he and co-host Ken Ellis held the James and Ken for Mayor campaign. And this is a quote from James. "We bought an Mark II Daimler, added a female chauffeur, and named her Meryl Streep." He chuckles. "We would ring up the council on air and see how long it took them to answer the phone." And I'm sure you did do that.
And threatened to fire them if they didn't answer faster.
Well, exactly, because James and Ken found out afterwards that, in fact, although they could run a campaign, James and Ken for mayor, only one of them was actually allowed to stand. But it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the council. I was devastated when you came and said that you were leaving. But my devastation at you leaving this table was compensated by knowing that you are taking on a role that is your dream role. And you and Simon Barnett together, I think, will be able to carry the voice of Christchurch and all of the knowledge and experience that you've gathered around this table and getting to know all of us and your constituents. I think that's going to stand us in good stead as you take on that role. So I'm going to miss you terribly around this table. I have valued you so much, and I hope that you know that you are always amongst friends here and that you are welcome back. So when you retire, and there is a vacancy, you know, you might just want to be thinking about where that might take you. But thank you for everything that you've done for us.
Thank you. Oh, well, kia ora tātou. Look, actually, Leanne has stolen a couple of my lines, but nevertheless, I've put a bit of thought into what I'm going to say today, because I put a lot of thought into the decision that I made to be stepping away. But what I'm about to say is neither profound nor poetic, but it could be provocative to some people. But I see it simply as a statement of where I'm at, where I'm going, and where we are at, and where we've been. So I start by thanking the coastal ward community that I grew up in, as Leanne said, and will grow old in, for selecting or electing me as the representative on council. Most people say it, but I mean it when I say it is an honour and a privilege to have this position. There's a responsibility in this role, and it's not just the representation or advocation aspect, it's the obligation to provide for what we as a city needs now, but more importantly, plan for the future. And I evoke the ngaitahu whakatauki, mō tātou ā, mō kauri a muri ake nei, which is for us and our children after us. That's what we've been thinking along those lines. So just on 2 years ago, I did make the decision to stand as a candidate and eventually became a councillor. I thought I knew what I was getting into, and I was, what's that word, Phil? I had some wacko ideas about what it was like to be a councillor, and I now have huge respect for those who have come before us, those who are here now, and best of luck to those who are coming to this chamber in the future. It's hard work, and for those who think that councillors are paid too much, let me tell them that the hourly rate, as we know, is very, very low, because like it or not, elected members are seen as public property, and it's assumed that you're available and accessible 24/7. I've dealt with phone calls at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, someone complaining about the neighbours and making a lot of noise at a party, Sunday afternoon emails and phone calls about the queues at Taiora QE2 pool, Monday morning moans about the rubbish bin that hadn't been picked up and so on. But the real hard work is done around this chamber when we discuss, debate and decide on matters such as cycleways, the living wage, our three waters, our diverse and dispersed communities, and recently how we're going to fund everything we do over the next 10 years. And I'm so happy that I was able to stay long enough to see through the long-term plan. But for anyone who wonders what we do and or criticise council, I invite them to put their names forward for the forthcoming by-election in the coastal ward or the local body elections in 15 months from now. Go on, I dare you. Where's the camera? I have a general warning though. My time here as a councillor has seen my hair get thinner, my waist get thicker, and the brain presumably getting bigger, because there's so much to learn and or think about when you're a councillor. There's also a new language, which is technical and colloquial, terms or words I hadn't heard before, like close the circle, we'll take this offline, foreshadowed motion, and levels of service, Phil. Yes. Google it now. And many others. I've reevaluated my values too, because I came in as a confirmed petrol head who's owned race cars, flash cars, mini cars, and I was anti-cycling, or more specifically, cycleways. One of the first things I learned is why we're putting in the major cycleway routes, and without getting into the detail here and now, I can say that while some of the over-engineering of some of the cycleways is an issue, more importantly, the strategy of getting more people on bikes is right. For health reasons alone, helping deal with the climate emergency that we have acknowledged as a council, as well as lowering our collective carbon footprint. And let's not forget, we have the most cyclable city in the world, which goes hand in hand with our risk of sea level rise. Many people will make comment or criticise council, and often they're talking about our staff. And I will say there's a culture within the organisation which is quite distinct. It's not bad necessarily, just different. Some of that's due to the structure of the business units inside council, but mainly because there is legislation that they or we are bound by, and we're charged with gathering and then distributing or spending public money, which means many long drawn-out processes must be adhered to which can frustrate both citizens and even some councillors. But the council staff do that, and they do it well, so ka pai koutou. And I'm just going to make a special mention of one of our staff, which is the woman that looks after us on a daily basis, looking after our diaries and mopping up after us, Madam Chung. Thank you very much for your support as well. Now, I turn to my colleagues around the chamber and thank you for your support, your collegiality, your support both overt and tacit I won't embarrass myself, but more importantly, all of you, by making specific comments on each of you right here. I'll leave that for the aftermatch function. But I will mention a couple of people here right now. There's a foursome has been generated here. My next door neighbour at council, Councillor Pauline Cotter, has shepherded and supported me as deputy on the Three Waters Infrastructure and Environment Committee, and been a great mate in the chamber. Thank you for that. Down the other end is Councillor Anne Galloway, who's got a huge heart, as we all know. She wears that on her sleeve.
Major next to her.
Yeah, I'm getting to him. She wears that on her sleeve when she advocates for the young, the older, and those who need more of a hand. And she's also led me and Pauline astray at times when we've had long lunch breaks between various meetings. But the real rascal in that foursome has been my mate, Phil Major. He's next door neighbour in terms of wards, and my philosophical friend when it comes to learning about council. We've been through a journey and doing things. Eho, I've really enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to you continuing to bring your special qualities to council. So kia kaha. Once again, to the other councillors, I will speak of you and to you at the after party. I also acknowledge our sole employee, our Chief Executive, Dawn Baxendale, who started in that role just before we were all elected, and she came halfway around the world taking a haircut in remuneration on the way, and initially met with foibles and follies, and is a genuine leader. She and the executive leadership team that she's curated provide great advice and support to councillors, and I'll say this, it's a new dawning. The last person I want to acknowledge publicly is Her Worship, the Mayor. Leanne has declared that and why she's not restanding in next year's election, so I'm pleased to be the first to say thank you for your efforts on behalf of Ōtautahi Christchurch. I'm staggered that you cop any, let alone lots of criticism, but that'll be because people don't see how hard you work. I'm on record as saying your work ethic is astonishing, you are diligent, you're intelligent, you're very articulate, a great communicator, and have a long and storied history of public service. Therefore, you bring tremendous experience to the role of mayor. So, there. I also thank you for your mentorship and support that you've provided to me over the last couple of years. But the reason I'm standing now is because I'm standing down. Yes, as Leanne said, I'm about to get back on the tools. My trade is talking, and I'm, as Leanne said, moving back to media full-time after being approached to join Simon Barnett on News Talk ZB afternoons nationwide. I've had more than 40 years in the broadcasting business, and I'd felt that I'd done my time and had put it all behind me prior to standing for this public service, so being offered the role was totally unexpected and extraordinary, so much so I couldn't turn it down. It's like an ex-All Black being recalled for the Rugby World Cup. So today I'm literally crossing the floor to bat for the other team, if you like, as I transition from being on council to being a commentator, occasional critic, or at least critiquing the governance and the operation, the business of running this city and also the country, actually. So many people have said to me, I'll bet you'd be glad to be leaving. It must be frustrating. And I always bite back hard. I say, no, local government is a fundamental foundation of a civilised society. Look around the world and see the clusters of messed up cities around the world, then look at us. We're good. It has been an honour to serve my city, my community, my constituents, and also initiate projects for the generations yet to see the beauty and bounty of Ōtautahi Christchurch. So, it's normal to have a waiata, so you'll have to help me on this because you've got the little booklets there. And this is one that generally younger New Zealanders get together in, say, London, when they've had a few drinks and they sing this song. They don't realise that they're actually singing a song that's all about unity. So, help me when we sing, Tu tira mai ngā iwi, o e tātou tātou te. Tu tira mai ngā iwi, tātou tātou e. Whai a te rā mangatanga, Me te aroha e ngā iwi, kia oka tapatahi, kia oko tahi rā. Tātou, tātou e, tātou, tātou. A tihei mauri ora, hiau e hi. E noho. E noho koutou, e noho, as I finish our meeting with a karakia, and I'm just about to say that our talk is finished and we're about to head off somewhere else to an aftermatch as well later, don't forget. That's my shout at the door. And so I finished with the words where we say that i te reo Māori, which is ka whakairia te tapu, kia wātea ai te ara, kia tūroki whakataha ai, haumi e hui e, taiki. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and here's a present from all your colleagues as well.
Oh.
But we could take that upstairs.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Cheers.
I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.